Every April, 60 fighters begin a brutal journey.
To the center of the smart cage they go.
4 fights in 8 months for 6 belts at $6 million. This year, the toughest test in MMA gets tougher as challengers from Bellator enter the fray. On night 1 of the 2024 season, it's a champ versus champ main event. The Mirko Krokop protege, Ante Dillia, returns. Looking to recapture the magic of 2 years ago.
Ante Dillia with the heavyweight championship!
Standing in his way, a former Bellator king. Backed by another one of the all-time greats. It's an event packed with rising stars and heavy-handed giants. A fresh start, a new season, with everything to fight for. From San Antonio, Texas, the path to 1 million and the belt begins now. Welcome to the PFL 2024 regular season.
Welcome, fight fans, to the beginning of the PFL season in 2024 in San Antonio, Texas. There's a look at the iconic Riverwalk. The weigh-ins tonight happening right here, the Boeing Center at Techport. Tomorrow night, heavyweights and women's flyweights start their climb towards a $1 million championship opportunity. Sean O'Connell, Randy Couture, very happy to be here for the beginning of our 2024 season. It's the heavyweights and a brand new division in the PFL, the women's flyweights. We're here in Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. This fight card is incredible. And Randy, we've called it the toughest test in MMA. Well, this season it got a lot tougher because PFL acquired Bellator and added a ton of talent to the roster.
Absolutely. 60% of the roster for the regular season this year, 36 athletes come from Bellator. Those are marquee names, very established, grounded, well-rounded fighters. That makes the toughest challenge. Signing up for 4 fights in 8 months, that much tougher.
Including, by the way, a Bellator champion, a reigning Bellator champion who's going to be fighting tomorrow night. We'll get to that here in just a second. But I want to talk about the main event. Of course, it is a heavyweight main event. Ante Dillia, Valentin Moldavsky. That's a former PFL champion in Dillia, a former interim heavyweight champion on the Bellator side in Valentin Moldavsky. Let's start with walking trouble, Ante Dillia.
Ante Dillia out of Croatia, Mirko Krokop's camp, fighting a guy from Fedor Emelianenko's camp. Another layer to the onion in this one. Ante Dillia, very, very well-rounded fighter, a judo practitioner from Croatia, not afraid to step in the pocket, let his hands go. Beautiful takedown there by Dillia. This guy is champ in 2022, had an injury in 2023 that kept him out of the season, but that's his only setback. He's done an amazing job in the Professional Fighters League.
Yeah, Dillia has been on an absolute hot streak, and he actually told us, I would love to beat a fighter coached by Fedor Emelianenko, because Fedor's in the building. Fedor's going to be in the corner of Valentin Moldavsky, yeah. So like you said, one more layer to this incredible matchup. Let's talk about the other side here. Valentin Moldavsky, he's not the biggest stature-wise heavyweight, but man, incredibly well-rounded. He's got skills for days.
Absolutely. 2018 Sambo World Champion. This guy's very, very skilled, very, very well-rounded. Definitely one of those guys that's going to step right in the pocket, let his hands go, sharp punches, not afraid to mix it up and really brawl with you. But he also has that wrestling ability, like most of these Russians, to take you and put you on your back and make your life miserable from there. This guy's very well-rounded. It's going to be a very interesting fight. Whose night's going to be? Fedor Emelianenko's or Mirko Krokop's?
And again, this is the beginning of a regular season, so points and a place in the standings on the line in that main event. Let's talk about the co-main event. Another familiar face for all of you PFL fans, Denis Goltsov. He's been incredible, but he is still yet to win a PFL championship. He's still chasing that $1 million championship prize. Came up just short a season ago. Standing across from him will be Linton Vassell, who came over from the Bellator side and actually came up from the light heavyweight division, where he's been incredible as a heavyweight. Goltsov is as well-rounded as they come, and some of his skills, Randy, are, I'm talking about, elite, best in the world level.
Dennis Goltsoff is in his 5th season of Professional Fighters League. He came up a little short in last year's finals against Henan Ferreira. This guy's a typical Russian, great boxing. It uses the jab as well as anybody. Good wrestling, solid ground and pound. Great submission skills. I've seen him pull off Ezekiel chokes. Very slick. That jab is the best jab in mixed martial arts. He uses it very well to establish his range and get exactly where he wants to win a fight.
His opponent, Linton Vassell. As I mentioned, a former light heavyweight. I don't know how he ever made 205 pounds because he's 6'4". He's 240 plus. No fat on his body. This guy is a monster, and he's on a hot streak at heavyweight.
2-time title contender for Bellator in the light heavyweight division. Went up to heavyweight in 2019. Walking around at 247, said he felt a little too big, a little out of balance at 247. Down to a comfortable 236 now. And in a 5-fight streak in the heavyweight division. Great hands, not afraid to mix it up with any of the big guys. He's got good grappling skills and likes to take guys down and hover over the top of them, ground and pound and smother them, make them miserable. Can he do that tomorrow night?
So that's your main event, your co-main event. This is your main card on ESPN2 and on ESPN Plus, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Of course, phenomenal main event. And then that feature in the women's flyweight division, which is brand new. I'm talking Liz Carmouche, who came over from Bellator. She was the only Bellator champion who said, yeah, put me in that season. I can tackle 4 fights in 8 months. And for more on that, we've got Brett Okamoto.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sean. And as you guys know, the theme of this regular season is going to be the influx of Bellator talent. And certainly no one is more symbolic of that than Liz Carmouche. When she joined Bellator in 2020, she said she wanted to focus on finishes. Guys, she had 7 fights in the Bellator cage, 6 finishes, and she did it in multiple ways. Submissions, knockouts. She defended her championship 3 times, including against the woman she will face tomorrow night, Juliana Vasquez. So just at her peak, a lot of confidence coming into this. And hey, she said, you know what? I am the champion, but I'm okay not living that championship lifestyle. I'm willing to sign up for potential 4 fights in 8 months. And at the age of 40 years old. Sean, I believe you are 40 years, right? Is it not too late to get you in here on the regular season? See you fight 4 times this year.
Well, Brett, that's a great idea if you're in the kind of shape that Liz Carmouche is in, all right? At 40, I'm not in that kind of shape. I'm totally impressed. Linton Vassell, also 40 years old. These people are coming in ready to go and tackling a new challenge from the Bellator side. New fighters, a new challenge, and for some of you out there, the PFL format is a totally new thing. It is a regular season, then playoffs, and a championship. 10 fighters in each division, 6 different divisions, 2 regular season fights. You earn points with wins and bonus points for finishes in those regular season fights. Top 4 fighters in each division will make the playoffs, and then $1 million to the champion in each division. We will start the action 6:30 Eastern, exclusively on ESPN Plus. A couple of showcase bouts and then right to the regular season fights. Women's flyweight to open things up, some more heavyweights as we try to figure out the standings going into the second half of the regular season. It's 265, women's 125, and there are points and a spot in the standings at stake. These are, every single fight matters just as much as the main event because all of these folks are chasing a $1 million opportunity at the end of the season. I do want to talk about the feature fight on our early card. Marcelo Golm and Daniel James, this is a rematch. We've seen this one before. This one came together short notice, and Daniel James said, no problem.
Yeah, Daniel James said no problem. He said no problem, but he ended up having to cut 20 pounds to make weight in the heavyweight division, which was usually unheard of. He missed it by 1.5 pounds, so he's going to lose a point in the standings, but still has a chance with those criteria points to put him into playoffs contention. This guy's a slugger, wants to stand in there and bang with everybody. He's facing a guy he's beat before, and I think the challenge is always on the guy that won the first fight. You know that guy's going to make some adjustments. What are they going to be? It's a wild guess. So Marcelo is trying to figure out how to make it go his way this time.
Well, look, you can see the highlights from that first fight. James is massive, and cutting weight to make 265, massive. Golm, he's a big guy, but he's not as big. He might come into tomorrow night 30 pounds shy of where Daniel James is walking around. So what's the key for Marcelo Gomes?
I think Marcelo Gomes has to close the distance. He has to use that striking to get his hands on James. Try and put James on his back and use those jits to smother him, hang over him, pound on him, make him miserable. But he's got to stand in the pocket first against that big guy and try and close the distance. James anticipates that. He said that in the fighter meetings. He knows he's going to try and come close the distance and attack him differently this time.
All right, the voice of our PFL Smart Cage, Andy Shepard, is in the building. He'll get the fighters to the scale and the stage. Andy Shepard, to you.
Thank you, Sean. Yet the 2024 season is upon us. And Sean, as you said, it's the most difficult and, dare I say, the most unpredictable season we have ever had. Who will take home one of those championship belts? Who will receive $1 million check? The journey to find out begins right here in San Antonio tomorrow night. All that's left to do now is weigh in our fighters. And to help us do that, let's welcome our President of Fighter Operations, Ray Sefo.
Stage is set. Up first tomorrow night will be a showcase bout in the bantamweight division. Bryce Meredith and Ty Johnson.
Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, Ty Johnson. Official weight 135.5 pounds. And in the red corner, fighting out of Cheyenne, Wyoming, Bryce Meredith.
Bryce Meredith, a strong wrestling background, but does he want to take this to the ground against Ty Johnson, who has 8 submissions?
Official weight 135.75 pounds.
Second bout of the evening, featherweight showcase. Lucas Brennan and Dimitri Ivy.
Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, from San Antonio, Texas, Dimitri Ivy.
Ivy, the local representative on the card tomorrow night. 7 submissions and 12 victories. This guy,
official weight 146 pounds.
Specialist on the ground.
And in the red corner, fighting out of Frisco, Texas, Lucas Brennan.
Skywalker, one of the great nicknames in all of mixed martial arts. Undefeated in his young mixed martial arts career. Still 23 years of age.
45.5 pounds.
6 submissions on his record as well. So some elite grapplers in the early part of the card. Showcase bouts are over with, and now women's flyweight regular season action. Chelsea Hackett and Jenna Bishop.
First, in the blue corner, fighting out of San Diego, California, Jenna Bishop.
Jenna Bishop got a late start in the sport, but successful so far in her mixed martial arts career. She's 6-0 as a pro.
125.5 pounds for Jenna Bishop. And her opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, Chelsea Hackett.
Chelsea Hackett will be making her second walk to the PFL Smart Cage. She participated in a showcase bout last season, but now
weight 125.5 pounds.
Facing a $1 million championship as part of our first women's flyweight season. Up next, another women's flyweight contest. Kana Watanabe, Shayna Young.
First, in the blue corner, fighting out of Durham, Virginia, Shayna Young.
Shayna Young has been around the sport, fighting on the Contender Series, on Invicta.
Official weight 128.5 pounds.
Strong run in the regional scene, and you can see there she did miss weight. She'll be docked a point in the regular season standings.
And in the red corner, fighting out of Tokyo, Japan, Kana Watanabe.
Kana Watanabe, 12-2-1 as a professional mixed martial artist. Well-rounded knockouts and submissions on her record in equal measure.
Weight 125 pounds.
Watanabe's only 2 defeats in the Bellator cage came at the hands of former champions. Liz Carmouche beat her, Halima Lane McFarland beat her. Looking to climb her way to elite ranks as part of this season. Up next, the first heavyweight bout of the regular season. Steve Mowry, Oleg Popov.
First, in the blue corner, fighting out of Krasnodar, Russia, Oleg Popov.
Oleg Popov, red hot, 14-fight win streak. He's only tasted defeat once in his career, one of 3 representatives from that Fedor team.
Official weight 242.25 pounds. And in the red corner, his opponent fighting out of Plantation, Florida, Steve Mowry.
Another man with only 1 loss on his record. Steve Mowry, 6 feet 8 inches tall.
Official weight 257.5 pounds.
But will likely look to make this a grappling matchup. Mowry fought former PFL heavyweight champion Ali Issaev to a draw. Another women's flyweight bout. Tyler Santos, Ilara Joane.
First, in the blue corner, fighting out of Fortaleza, Ceará, Brazil, Ilara Joane.
Strong lineage and fight history for Ilara Joane, who actually had to cut her hair to get those final couple ounces off and make weight. Trains with, represents the iconic Pitbull team.
Official weight 126 pounds. And her opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Florianópolis, Brazil, Tyler Santos.
A finisher in the women's flyweight division. Tyler Santos, 10 knockouts, 3 submissions. Incredibly tough and well-rounded.
Official weight 126 pounds.
Heavyweight action up next. Blagoy Ivanov, Sergey Berlustoni.
Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, from Seburkov, Moscow, Russia, Sergey Berlustoni.
You do not want to stand in front of this man. You can see there as he steps on the scale, incredibly powerful. 8 knockouts.
Official weight 248.5 pounds. And his opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Sofia, Bulgaria, Blagoy Ivanov.
Blagoy, a veteran of the sport, was the champion in the World Series of Fighting, which of course was the precursor to the Professional Fighters League.
Official weight 257 1/4 pounds.
Once defeated the iconic Fedor Emelianenko in a Combat Sambo World Championship. You know who trains Bilisteni? Fedor. This fight has so many Fedor Emelianenko storylines. This entire card. Another heavyweight contest, this one featured on our early card. Marcelo Golm and Daniel James.
Introducing first in the blue corner, fighting out of Chicago, Illinois, Daniel James.
Daniel James, massive heavyweight. His entire career he's had to cut to make the 265-pound limit.
Official weight 267 pounds.
This time, on relatively short notice, was not able to get all the way down. He missed weight, which means he will lose a point in the regular season standings.
And his opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Pitangüera, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Marcelo Golm. Official weight 264 1/2 pounds.
Marcelo Golm looking for revenge here. He lost to Daniel James at Bellator 293 last March. Up next, women's flyweight regular season action. The European champion for the PFL, Dakota Ditcheva, now making her way to the global season against Lisa Malden.
Introducing first in the blue corner, fighting out of Orange, California, Lisa Malden.
Lisa Malden has stepped inside the PFL Smart Cage twice before. She's been victorious both times. Part of the Challenger Series and then a showcase bout as well.
Official weight 125 3/4 pounds. And her opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Manchester, England, Dakota Ditcheva.
Dakota Ditcheva, one of the rising stars in the sport of mixed martial arts, 10-0 as a pro, has made the full-time move to American Top Team in Florida.
Official weight 125 1/4 pounds.
We'll wrap up the women's flyweight action tomorrow night with this bout. Liz Carmouche, Juliana Velasquez.
First up, in the blue corner, fighting at the Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Juliana Velasquez.
Velasquez back and healthy. Hasn't fought since 2022. Her last opponent, Liz Carmouche.
Official weight 125 1/4 pounds. And her opponent in the red corner, fighting out of San Diego, California, Liz Carmouche.
Liz Carmouche, at 40 years of age, shows no signs of slowing down. She is on a hot streak. She holds a Bellator title belt. She brought it over to this PFL regular season and said, I want to
Official weight
challenge.
126 pounds.
Third time these two women have squared off. Carmouche victorious the first two. Our co-main event tomorrow night, a heavyweight contest. Denis Goltsov and Linton Vassell.
First up in the blue corner, fighting out of Milton Keynes, England, Linton Vassell.
The Swarm, Linton Vassell, training out of Kill Cliff, one of the strong gyms in South Florida. Red hot in the heavyweight division.
Official weight 240 3/4 pounds.
Vassell is 5-1 since making the jump from 205 pounds. All of those in the Bellator cage.
And his opponent in the red corner, fighting out of St. Petersburg, Russia, Denis Goltsov.
And his opponent, Goltsov, a staple of the PFL heavyweight division, perennial contender, who thinks this is the year he finally wraps gold around his weight and cashes that $1 million check.
Official weight 245 1/2 pounds.
Denis Goltsov is 6'5", and you can see that he's not that much bigger than Linton Vassell, who somehow made 205 pounds for the bulk of his career. Final bout of the evening will take place in the heavyweight division. Ante Dilia and Valentin Moldavsky.
In the blue corner, fighting out of Vladivostok, Russia, Valentin Moldavsky.
Moldavsky, former interim Bellator heavyweight champion, trains under Fedor Emelianenko, trains alongside Vadim Nemkov.
Official weight 237 1/2 pounds.
Very powerful fighter.
And his opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Zagreb, Croatia, Ante Dilia.
2022 PFL heavyweight champion Ante Dilia, representing Crow Cop team, looking for a second PFL belt.
Official weight 244 pounds.
That's your main event. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape for this heavyweight contest. Ante Dilia, 33. Moldavsky is 32. You can see Dilia, 6'5". Moldavsky is only 6 feet 1 inch tall, but only 7 pounds separate these men in weight. The reach advantage on the arms belongs to the Croatian. Moldavsky turns in the longer leg measurement here. Randy, we know that the coaches have history, right?
Yeah.
Fedor and Crow Cop. But it's not about them tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll be telling that story, but for these fighters, it's all about establishing themselves in this heavyweight division and earning points.
And Moldavsky said just that. He said, no, I don't even want to open that can of worms. This is about us. He's a formidable opponent. I give him all that respect. I don't even want to talk about that. I want to stay focused on what the task is at hand.
I'll be talking about it plenty, because when you have fighters coming from legendary coaches and legendary camps, it adds a little intrigue, adds a little layer to the onion, I think is what you said.
Yes, absolutely.
And, you know, Randy, there was a time when everyone was speculating on what does the matchup between Randy Couture and Fedor look like? What about Randy versus Crow Cop? How do these things look? Yeah. Legends in the building tomorrow night. Brett Okamoto has one of our main event fighters, Valentin Moldavsky. Brett.
Yes, thank you so much, Sean. And Valentin, that was a very serious stare down for this main event. I got to ask, what, if anything, is going through your mind as you're looking at Ante Dilia just now on that stage?
Выглядело достаточно серьезно, как вы смотрели друг на друга. Что через твою голову проходило, когда вы смотрели друг на друга в данный момент?
Ничего, просто настраивался на бой, посмотрел на соперника вблизи, готов к бою, поэтому никаких таких особых мыслей не было. Просто сконцентрирован на завтрашнем бою.
I was concentrating on the fight for tomorrow pretty much. I looked at my opponent closely. I didn't think about anything, but about the fight tomorrow.
Well, you've been fighting for a long time, but this is a different scenario. What excites you the most about coming over to PFL and competing in this tournament format this season?
Ты давно участвуешь в соревнованиях такого плана, но вот этот формат немножко другой, отличается от всего того, что было до этого. Как ты считаешь, в чем разница будет для тебя именно вот в этих PFL?
Ну, мне этот формат нравится больше, потому что за 8 или 10 месяцев, да, по-моему, можно подраться 4 раза. Оставаться часто активным, поэтому мне данный формат нравится.
Yeah, I love this format because I can be active and stay active. Within the next year I can fight for 4 times, let's say. So I love it.
Very much excited. Looking forward to it. Welcome to the PFL. Looking forward to your fight tomorrow night. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Brett. And I think it's important to observe that. Moldavsky and several of the other fighters coming over from Bellator said, I'm actually looking forward to being part of the toughest test in MMA. I'm excited to know my schedule. I want 4 fights in 1 year because that's not typically what happened in the Bellator cage. It's not typically what happens in the sport of mixed martial arts. It's hard to remain that active in the traditional format, but the regular season, the playoffs, the championship demand 4 walks to this smart kid.
It's one of the frustrating things about being a prize fighter is a lot of times you're waiting for that phone to ring. When's my next fight? When's my next fight? You're tapping that toe, especially as you get older like Liz Carmouche. You don't want to sit around and wait for the phone to ring. You want to fight, by gosh. So I see why they're happy about it. I think if I was a younger man, I would throw my hat in that ring for sure.
Brett Okamoto has the other half of our main event, Ante Dillian, the 2022 PFL heavyweight champion. Go ahead, Brett.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. And Ante, Valentin doesn't really seem to want to talk about this. He's focusing on just the 2 of you inside the cage. But you have said that you will be a very happy man if you can take out a member of Team Fedor. Why is that so meaningful to you?
Valentin nije ništa komentirao, ne želi komentirati tu situaciju, ali ti si rekao da si sretan da ga pobjediš izvez Fedora. Zašto je to?
Pa eto, ja sam sretan što ću imati priliku boriti se pred Fedorom, to je jedan idol iz moga djetinjstva i eto, bit će mi drago kad prebijem ovog dečka pred Fedorovim očima.
I'm very glad that I can fight in front of Fedor because he's one of my idols, and I'm glad that I have an opportunity to beat him in front of Fedor.
Well, it is a very cool opportunity, and you have fought, I feel like, just about everybody because you've been here at the PFL, you've had so much success. What kind of challenge are you anticipating from Valentin tomorrow night?
Boriš se sa puno boraca ovdje, kako očekuješ izazov od Valentina?
Mislim stvarno, Valentin, da je odličan borac. Bellatorov je prvak i to me veseli i mislim da ova borba baš ima smisla i jedva čekam sutra borbu.
I think that Valentin is a great fighter, and I think this fight has a lot of sense because he's a former champion, and I can't wait.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's why they put it together. Best of luck to you guys, and enjoy your night. We will see you tomorrow in the PFL Smart Cage. Sean, back to you.
Thank you, Brett. And yes, this main event is former Bellator champ and former PFL champ. This could have been put on our champs versus champs card over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which, by the way, will be an annual event moving forward on the MMA calendar. Bellator champions and PFL champions will be squaring off in a Super Bowl of mixed martial arts, an all-star game. Whatever analogy you want to make, it's champs versus champs. And we figure out, or we begin to figure out, who will be marching towards a championship in 2024 in the brand new women's flyweight division and, of course, the heavyweight division. Fights begin tomorrow at 6:30. Pre-show at 6 Eastern on ESPN+. On ESPN2 and ESPN+, our main card starting at 10 Eastern. The chase for a $1 million championship begins in San Antonio, Texas tomorrow night.